Yeah.
Now, this seems like a very abhorrent idea to a lot of people, this idea that anything, frankly, might be rationed. Is it a goer? Is it necessary?
No, I think that there are things the government can do. Rationing, the whole pricing mechanism causes rationing. So as prices go up, people use less and there's more incentive for people who can produce more to produce more. And so we don't need to enforce rationing beyond that. I think the prices are going to be so sky high this winter, people will ration themselves. I already know lots of people...
Well, we're not idiots, are we?
No, we're not idiots. And also, we could do things that they're doing in Europe, such as public buildings are turning their lights off at night. Because like us, they used to light up all the public buildings at night. If you go through the city, you'll see office blocks are completely alight at night, often because the cleaners are there, but the cleaners do one floor at a time and the whole building is alight. So there's lots of ways that people will ration themselves and start going, this is a bit silly, why are we turning all our lights on at night? When we don't need to.
What you seem to be proposing there is a radical notion that the British public uses its common sense. And we can't have that, clearly, because we're incapable of doing that, apparently, depending on who you listen to. But let's just say some form of rationing just come in. What practically would that look like? I mean, what could they actually do? Just all the lights go off at 7 p.m. or something? I mean...
Well, unfortunately, I have been in South Africa during brownouts, as they call them, and sections of Cape Town were being turned off at various times, which does interrupt a lot of businesses. It interrupts, obviously, people's households.
TV channels, one would imagine.
TV channels, all sorts of communication devices, which is not good for businesses. It's not good for anything to have a period where they're given notice. They know that their electricity will be off for certain times. But if you're staying in a hotel that's multi-storey and the lift doesn't work, that's quite worrying when you get back to your hotel room and you can't plug in your phone or use the Wi-Fi or do anything like that. That's what life would be like if they started rationing. But I think that what would be much better, right now, luckily, the gas price, both in Europe and in the UK, which spiked massively last week, has come back to where it was 2-3 weeks ago, which is still high on the year before, but it's much lower than it was, unfortunately, when they were setting our latest pricing cap. So that's really good news. And one of the reasons that's happened is because the European storage is now full. They've got as much as they can store for 2 months of the winter. That'll get them through. The UK is hopefully going to open their storage. I think the UK must start fracking because that's the quickest way to get more gas into the market. They've also talked about, Liz Truss has talked about opening North Sea gas wells, which is also good, but that will have a slower lead time. Yeah,
exactly. And I just wanted to interrupt you there because you've hit on a really key point, especially in relation to the breaking news which we're going through throughout the show here, which is that Extinction Rebellion they've now glued themselves to the Speaker's chair and they're outside the House of Commons and they're kicking off. They want a People's Assembly. Of course, they want their big green agenda writ large over the UK. You've just mentioned some buzzwords there, like oil and fracking. Do you think that they're deluded, that lot there, who are in the House of Commons at the minute? Would we inevitably get much, much poorer to the point where essentially we'd all be lying on beds of moss?
We have put our whole economy into the hands of Mother Nature. It sounded like a good idea on paper, but unfortunately, the wind isn't blowing at the moment.
No.
The good news is the wind will start blowing in the winter. It usually does, at any rate. But right now, today, we are getting 60% of our electricity is coming from gas and fossil fuels. Now, Extinction Rebellion can stick
glue themselves to what they like.
Whatever they like, but they are not going to make the wind blow. Unless they all want to go to Scotland and start blowing at the windmills, this is not going to change anything. Solar today is 9%, wind is 12%. So without gas, we've got no lights in the studio.
They were speaking about nationalising our energy supply. Would that have any impact whatsoever?
Yeah, because we've got the most amazing government and they run everything really well.